welcome back to another. Goddamn, did my voice just break? If I had a girlfriend, she'd kill me. Welcome back to another week of the Infinite podcast. We are extremely late, and I apologize to everyone who's been waiting in the chat. You guys are absolutely amazing for sticking around. I appreciate every single one of you. Want to give a shout out to Monad, Biff Rinaldi, the game adaptation cast, Lotus Esprit. It's been a long time. BT Maverick, always here. You guys supporting the show. Solitech. Shout out to all you guys. I appreciate every single one of you guys. We have a fantastic new guest today, in Corkenstein. How you doing, man? Welcome to the show. How's things? What have you been up to? What have you been playing? All that good stuff.
Hey, brother. Yeah, thanks for having me, man. Yeah, you guys hit me up and answered the call to be here. Thanks for having me. For playing, just like everybody else, Doom, Clear Obscure. I just got the precinct, so I got to boot that up. I played the demo, absolutely loved it. Solid demo on Steam. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Just cycling between at least those two games for now, and I'm gonna start the precinct up tonight.
Oh yes, I saw the precinct, man, and it looks okay. It's getting some pretty mixed reviews though, right? Up and down. There was a 9 in there, I think. There was some 8s, and then a couple of 3s, pretty much across the board, right? So I mean, I'd be pretty interested to play that game if they ever bring it to the best system on the planet, Xbox. Umbra, how is your week? What have you been up to? What have you been doing? How's things? How's it fixed? I didn't get to see it. I was stuck on a forklift, man, the whole day. I don't normally do any operating of any machinery, but we didn't have anyone, and they called me up, and this is why I'm so sunburnt. So I missed it, but how was it?
Oh man, it was a good show. We had a really good time and a really good talk. Our return show. It's been like 2 weeks since we got back to talking. We covered the Superman trailers, Ironheart, or Superman trailer, Ironheart. We talked about GTA 6's delay. We talked about Doom and a bunch of other things in our news roundup. I mean, it was really fun. You missed a bunch of Nintendo slander from Danny. Very righteous slander, though, in my opinion. Shout out to MJ Dark. I know he would not like that, but too bad. But yeah, man, it was a good time. We had a good talk. I did have an issue with Doom. I'll get to that, I guess, when we get to it. But yeah, other than that, I've been playing. I cannot put down Expedition 33. I can't put it down.
That's hot.
I have been playing that game nonstop. Gray, what's up, brother? I know you say you had 90 hours at one point. You were telling me. I'm close to 100, if not over 100 now.
Wow.
And I have been playing it on the go. I played on a ROG Ally. I play it here at home. And man, I'm just telling you, it's definitely the game of the year. There's no question in my head. I just don't think replacing it as far as game of the year. Just a spectacular game.
Yeah, man, I'm struggling to get I'm struggling to get through it because I don't have any time. Like I have very limited time, so I bring my ass with me wherever I go. And because it's 30 FPS, man, it really makes it like doubles the difficulty of those fights, man. It just makes the battles. You miss your timing all the time. It's like I got to relearn the game every time I go X to S. So that is that's my only complaint, but it is amazing.
I wanted to point out that is a console specific issue. I don't have that issue on my PC. 30 frames per second. Yes, the envious of the glory that is PCMR. Yes, the game adaptation has 100 plus hours. If I'm not already over 100, I'm near it. And it's because I'm on New Game Plus. So that's what I'm telling you. I'm addicted. I've beaten the game 3 times now, or about to beat it 3 times. So yeah,
you kidding me?
No, dead ass serious. I've gone over exhaustively over the story. I'm so insanely powerful now. I could literally probably just go with a solo character and just run through the whole game and take everything out with a few hits. Like literally, it's a dope ass game, man.
I've been seeing people get like 9,999, like maxing out the hit counter. Are you're there pretty much?
Oh, I'm close. I've for instance, my L, I have her with she has her, the stand tall. Even though they nerfed it, you got the stand tall hit, power or ability, and you also have the gommage with her gradient attack. Either one of those, once I build them up properly with all the pictos I have set up, I can do one hit that is like near like 50 something million. You know what I mean? Like insane power,
Jesus.
unlimited power.
Oh,
That is
Yeah.
absolutely crazy. I did see Donte dip in, but he seems to be having some technicals. There was a bit of feedback there, so I think he's sorting it out in the background. But my week has been flat out. I've been playing as much Expedition 33 as I can. I got a chance. I want to talk about Doom shortly. Hopefully, you've played a bit, Cork. Yeah.
I'm actually playing when Umbra asked me to jump on like 5 minutes ago. Yeah, I was like in the middle.
Good. It's fresh in your mind. Yeah. Look, I dipped back out into Expedition. I played the first level, so that tutorial sort of section. And that's all I played, and I definitely will play some more. But Expedition 33's got me, man. This game is, it's beautiful. It's the combat is bang on. Like I don't generally get into that sort of term tactical stuff unless it's top down. That's more my thing. Like RTSs or TTSs, like Gears, XCOM or Halo Wars, stuff like that. But this is 100% got me. The general art style and combat stuff, like it's very Persona-like in the way it brings up its menus, right? And I'm loving it, man. I didn't like Persona. I had no time for that game, but this game is just, and the story beats in, and the stuff you don't see coming, and the humor is well placed. The story is just well written. It is just, and I hate to bring back a blast in the past, but as Zorka used to say, it is a game-ass game. Like, it's just one of those games that I don't know how, as I've seen some people saying, that they didn't like it, or probably a little bit more of an indictment online than you would normally say. But let's just say they said they didn't like it. I don't know how you would not like this game. Like, I don't get it. Like,
I don't either. I saw some people saying like, oh, the story, a very specific person in law said that they thought the story was blasé. It's a standard fair story. I'm like, no, the hell is not. When you play this, it's super emotional. It's super well written. It's mysterious. So when things happen, you're gonna start piecing things together. Like, oh, it's one of those things that it has that water cooler kind of story where you're gonna talk to people about it to flesh things out. Like, wait, so when this happened, blah blah blah. Oh, so that makes me think back when I talked to this character and they mentioned this. This was that kind of foreshadowing of this. It has a megaton of that, and it's got a lot of cool meta themes in it too, as far as like I don't want to say too much because you're not far enough, but it's got a lot of themes. I'll wait until you guys get far and you'll understand, but I'm not going to say it now.
But the seriousness of like the story, right, is, I mean, I think we've talked about Expedition 33 the last 3 shows at the start of the show. We have to do it again because the seriousness of the story is full on, but also the humor. Like when you meet, I can't remember his name, the big guy who's like basically the horse that gets you around the map, right?
SKA,
yeah. And then you got to go next door to the Rock, that the dude next door is the neighbor, and like get the thing, like the humor that's all in like, Francois, and the humor that's all encompassed in and it's just not out of place. You know what I mean? Like it fits well into the story. It's not it's not forced quippy, like Dragon Age just had that forced quippy teenage humor in it that was like a really poor soap opera, among other things that were a problem with that game. But like, I don't know, man. I just hope that there is still writers out there that know how to write a story for a game. So it's good. Yeah. It's great to see.
I agree with. I'm sorry, I was going to say I agree with you on the story part. What's funny is they found the writer off of Reddit. Think about how crazy that is, right? And so, but I do hear you on that. What's up, TZ? I do hear you 100% on that as far as the story with. Actually, I thought the story for Dragon Age was pretty good, but the dialogue was problematic for the setting. But go ahead, Corey. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say I could see some of the criticisms with turn base, but that's the thing is like the turn base is very streamlined. It's very casual friendly. I wouldn't say it's an afterthought, but like the way that it's played out kind of is to where it's kind of like it just becomes natural, and you don't really think so much of it as like turn-based in a sense. Like I was flying stuff like what I wanted to do. The way the UI set up is just very user-friendly. I don't really see any issues with turn-based combat. I was a little kind of skeptical, honestly, but after playing it for a little bit, yeah, I really dig it. I think the combat and like you said, the writing is just is pretty solid. I mean, they got some heavy narrative in there, especially at the very beginning. Um, when the paintress changes the number and then you see what happens, like, okay, that's pretty heavy.
Yeah.
It opens up pretty heavy, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, they
Yeah, and it's
Avengers Endgame that thing. But
it's
Right.
like
That'll
it's
snap them out of existence, right?
it's like this the start with the whole acceptance of it and the sort of the not traditions of it, the way that they just sort of deal with it, and it's this thing that just it's crazy. They wrote it like I could imagine it would be the way it would happen. You know what I mean? Like if that was a thing that was happening, you would get to a point of just sort of acceptance, and then within the society acceptance, there's individuals who don't accept it, who want to fight against it, and there's people who are just going to accept it, and like it's the nuance of human beings, and yeah, it's really, 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 really well written.
so I thought because of the roses and like the stuff. I mean, I could probably talk about this because it's the beginning. The roses and stuff. I thought like because she was like kind of cheery and like I didn't really take her as like very like depressed or anything. But like I thought it was just like a marking of like a loved one that is going out on this expedition. And then it happened and like it kind of clicked and made sense for me. I was like, oh, that's what the roses mean.
Right,
Like
right.
that part alone and how they set the pretense up for that moment to happen is just chef's kiss.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, it's bang on.
I had found out
Umbra?
I was talking to Aaron Risk and on the Discord, and we were like pouring over the story details and things like that. And he pointed out to me that if you pay attention enough, if you go around like really investigating doors and things like that, and at first act, you will notice that people were like getting together to smash before the gamage. And I'm like, what? So yeah, apparently you'll hear they'll put their ear to the door or something like that. You'll hear them, excuse me, getting it on. I'm burping because I'm drinking pop. But you'll hear them getting it on apparently. I'm like, wait, Aaron, you over there? You on some freak off energy over there? What's going on over there?
Baby oil squirting through the keyhole.
Right.
Look, Donte is having some tech issues in the background, but he's sorting it out. And when he jumps back, give him an introduction. But let's jump into the first topic. Just a quick, I wanted to go through what I thought about Doom, and I have only played the first area, so the tutorial area, so I don't have a whole lot to say about it. I got a little bit, but it's another Doom game, and and Doom games just don't seem to be for me. That doesn't mean that I'll be playing through the entirety of the game, to make sure that there's nothing I missed. Because look, I played Control 3 times before it like clicked, and when it clicked, I loved it. So I'm aware that I do that sometimes. I don't give games a chance. So this one I'll definitely give a chance. Obviously, it's Doom, but I don't know, man. Seemed very basic to me. Like it just felt basic. It just felt not 360-ish, but it just felt, I don't know, basic, man. Like it's a pack, it's a jump, it's a scramble, it's a shoot, it's a bash, and maybe they're going to add some more mechanics, and that's great, but there's just not a whole lot there. There's no complicated strategy. You just basically zooming around the place, smashing the shit out of demons, and if you love that stuff, that's great. But there's just never been enough. Look, I didn't get into Doom Eternal or Doom 2016. None of those games were really for me. I know that people laud them as masterpieces, but for me, I don't know. It's just not hitting that spot. Plus, I'm in the middle of Expedition 33, so I got to get through that first. Xbox is just killing us with games at the moment. But I got to get through that first. But yeah, I guess I'm not feeling it, man. And Cullen Prime, absolutely, can totally disagree. And I know people are going to love it, but it's just I'm not feeling it. So Cork, I'll jump. Umbra, I'll jump to you because I know that you had some there's some technical issues there that need discussing.
Yeah, so I started up the journey. I tried to get into it, which is possibly why I got so many more hours racked up into Expedition 33, because I'm like, yeah, I'll jump in on this and get some game time. And then when it didn't go my way, I'm like, well, back to the old Expedition. So I downloaded onto the PC the other day. You know, I'm trying to play it at its best. You know, 120 frames, possibly, you know, whatever. All the bells and whistles, the ray tracing, et cetera, you know, all the PC, the MR goodness, you know, thank you for that.
And then,
yeah, then the rug pull. So I download this thing, I load it up, and it's like, oh, you need updated drivers for your NVIDIA. I'm like, okay, no problem. That takes but a moment, maybe a few seconds to download that. Okay, I'll do that. And now I heard about the controversy beforehand. And I'm like, okay, I didn't know what that was really about. It was like Steam. I'm like, okay, that shouldn't be a problem. I have the Xbox app, you know, I'm playing it through Game Pass on PC. No, it affected us too. So I know about that. I didn't know the full details. So I go and download it. I get the NVIDIA driver update installed. I try to hit the game to start it again. I get a pop-up that's like, oh, such and such. And it's like, yes, that warning. Essentially, right now my eyes are bugging out. I'm like, what do you mean warning? Like, well, you're gonna tell me the game is intense? If you have i13 or 14 series CPU, do not run this game because or at your own risk, because I'm paraphrasing, of course, because it could degrade and possibly cause harm to your CPU and your motherboard. I'm like, you know, like I bought this pre-built. I don't know a ton about putting computers together. Now, I'm sure I could learn it. I don't want to right now. Maybe in the future. Maybe I'll build me one in the future. But right now, I have no interest. Man, I see that and I'm like, hell no. I paid what, roughly $3,000 for this PC? No, you're not gonna mess up my my motherboard and my my CPU. No, I'm not having it. So yes, BT. I might have to get the old AMD. I might have to go AMD with the CPU after seeing this nonsense. So I go through that. I'm like, okay, I'm reading it. Is you need the BIOS? You got to install the BIOS of the CPU, and I'm like, I don't know how to do that shit. So I'm like, okay, so do not run the game, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, cool. I close that message. The game turns on because it was already. I remember I clicked it, and that warning popped up after it. I'm like, oh shit, turn off. turn it off before you mess up my computer, you know. So I hurry up and quickly close it as fast as I can, and I uninstall it. I'm like, get off my PC, you hell spawn. And that's why I erased it off and could not get a chance to get on it. Now, earlier today, shout out to KSanti and Floodzilla and a few other fellas that helped me out. Nerds, I think, and other legends even helped too a bit. And on Discord, we were talking. He helped me find out how to install the BIOS, and it's a bit of a thing. It's not super complicated, but basically, I had to find out what my motherboard was. This is the AS Rock, and you know the specific model number of it, right? Whatever it is, and I find out mine is the Z790C. Okay, cool. Now I have to go to their site. Now I have to go and download the BIOS and put that, you know, unbit and put it into a USB file or flash disk, as they would say, right? Okay, I do that. Now I have to reboot the PC and press F2 to boot it up into the menu. And look, Cork, you see all the things I'm going through, Cork. Then I have to run the BIOS in that and install it through Instant Flash. Exactly, Temper. I understand, Temper. I get it. So I had to do all this long. I'll wrap by saying basically all of these things I had to do and Soil Tech, you know, because you were there for. I had to do all these things just to try to get this thing to work right. So what I will say is this: I completely understand when people say I would just rather play on console, because sometimes you don't want to have to go through this shit. You know what I mean? I could have easily installed this thing on an Xbox Series X back here and just been playing the game. But instead,
What?
I had to suffer. So
Why didn't you do that?
because I wanted the best around. But
Imagine if like you turned it on, there was like a of dust that just came out of the fan.
my, my PC get gomaged. My PC get gomaged in real time. I would have cried. I promise I would have cried, like real tears. Like I would have literally been like, no, why?
Back to Xbox. Come back to the fold.
I was gonna say this is why we just call Kay Asante when we have tech trouble.
Yeah,
we just
call Kay. Call him up. Hey, I need your help, brother. Yes, what do you need? You know, I think Kay get all happy. You got to help you with tech. Oh yes, indubitably. What else can I help you with? Perchance. You know.
But this is the thing. If you got to call Kay, like every time, like this, like I don't need to call Kay. I press the button on my Xbox and it runs.
Listen, I mean, I don't want to go back to peasantry. I've grown into, you know, I'm in the upper 5%. I wouldn't say the 1% because the 1% is now the 50 series, whatever. But okay, I'm in the
sounds like upper you're in the upper lower. Got to call K%.
See, look, I'm in a higher percentage. I just don't understand it, so I call him for my PC tech knowledge. But yeah, I had to do all that, man, and I never got a chance to get to it. But I will install it. Now that I've installed and flashed the new BIOS into the PC, I will install it and try it again. Soiltech says 4%. Yes, Soiltech, move me up in class. Thank you, sir. But yeah, other than that, I do want to try it out. Yeah, but I have watched a ton of gameplay on it. I know that it's got an 85 meta, has an 86 open critic, so that's about right, I guess. Right, that's a fair, open critic I trust more than meta, just with how it compiles comparatively. But I'm hearing good things. So I know your time. You didn't. What was your experience on it, Risk? Because me, I from what I'm hearing on this, I think it's the standard fare for Doom. Having played the other games, I didn't care for Eternal a lot. It may sound odd to people, but I didn't care for Eternal. 2016 is much better. But
yeah, I didn't like any of them, and so like this, So it's just this one's not doing it for me. But maybe it'll help later on. But Cork, how are you feeling about it?
Oh man, I'm loving it. I think it's better than Eternal, and the reason why is Eternal had this flightiness to it a little bit. It was a little bit more arcadey. It didn't, I don't know. For me, it didn't feel as much as like a boomer shooter. This Doom kind of has a lot more weight to it. It's a lot heavier. Not only the music, but just the gameplay loop and everything that you're doing. It's very very grounded in the sense that, especially when you jump off a cliff and you land, you just get this and you just see all these just bodies disintegrate around you. There's a lot of cool moments that Doom does have going for it. I wish it kind of had that bloody goriness that it usually does, because I maybe I haven't gotten far enough yet. I think I'm on ending chapter 6, where the executions just kind of aren't there. I thought it was going to be a little bit more brutal in that sense. It still is brutal, but it seems they toned it back a little bit, maybe for a more casual, friendly approach. But yeah, the whole gameplay just feels very weighted. The shield feels awesome. All around the gameplay loop is Doom. It's a boomer shooter. I know you can't see it. I strategically placed my mic here, but like I said, I got little grays here coming out. I grew up in the time of actually the old school marathon, 1994.
Same.
I was playing marathon in the computer lab at the Boys and Girls Club. I played the old Warcrafts, or as far as first persons go, Duke Nukem. And
yes,
Dark Forces, a whole bunch of different games, and it's just that classic. And that's what I like about this Doom is it weaves in and out of the old school boomer shooter with a little bit more newer tech and newer mechanics and stuff to kind of separate it, and then the gameplay loop dives back down to boomer shooter, and then you'll get like the dragon, and then it kind of goes back up. So there's something there for everyone, and I think they hit a really good balance on catching the casuals while keeping the hardcore boomer shooter fans happy. Halo's one of the last. Go. Sorry.
that might be what it is. It's my issue. I've never been a massive, like, back in the day I was a boomer shooter fan, but I feel like we've moved on mechanically, right? It's time to add a little bit more, and I haven't played enough of Doom to make that as, like, a judgment yet. So, this is just early days, but I'm like, this is what it is, sort of thing. I like my COD sort of mechanics. The movement, shooting, the not so much the diving and stuff. Yeah, the sliding, the the getting behind cover, the tactic, the sort of the tactics of it. Whereas this is just like, you're a beast and you just beat the shit out of everything that comes your way. And I don't know, that can be entertaining for a little while, and then I'm just like, yeah, nah.
So the pacing is actually better. So give it a few levels, because then there is a level. I mean, there's not much to spoil in a sense. Like, as far as narrative, like Claire, you can only, like Expedition 33, you can only go so far in the story, and before you say something. There really isn't a lot of spoilish yet. But there is mechanics. So, like, you'll go into like a giant beast that you can go around and start punching other giant beasts. It goes like total former mech warrior kind of style with it. And then you go back to the boomer shooter, and then you'll go to a dragon level where you're flying around and you're destroying things and dodging things, and it's all free roam and open world-ish. That's another thing that they kind of separated it to kind of blend that new and old together. Is some of the instances are, the areas, the biomes there are open world, so they kind of give you that little freedom to play how you want. And I'm definitely, I think it fell. They like how Halo did it with
In
Infinite.
the open world. Yeah.
It's basically like that, but instead of just one giant world, they have like little instances where it's different, not different biomes per se, but just like different parts of the world that you can jump in and jump in and do that kind of stuff. But yeah, it's Doom's a solid. I would say, and I might piss off some people in the chat here, that I don't think it's game of the year, but worthy. But it is definitely one of the better Dooms that has come out in recent times.
So with Cork, let me
Yes.
ask, with the part with the dragons. So it sounds like they mix it up a lot, which is cool. So it's going to be like good pacing and all that. It sounds like, possibly. When you said that you got like not different necessarily biomes, but you can go to different areas, is you can pick and choose where you want to go to?
You're still on rails, basically. So you're still on the rails, but it's just like a different section. So like, one, you're in this castle, and then the other one you're dropping down into this world. It'll make more sense once you go through the story to see like where you're at and why you're dropping into these locations. And you'll see why you're actually having to be dropped into those locations, versus like how Doom was more on rails, where you just you destroyed this thing and you're still at the same place, just moving to the next level. Destroyed this, moving to the next level. This one kind of changes it up a bit because of how the Slayer is, I guess, is how the Slayer is set up and why he has to be dropped into locations. Like I said, I don't want to give too much away. I mean, I know Doom's not a massive, narrative story game, so people might not really care. But I don't know. I don't want to ruin that for somebody to see what the story is about and get interested in it. But yeah, so it's not really different biomes. It's just different levels of the same, kind of like the same. And I could see Riskit's point, about it, being the same a little bit. I don't know. I enjoy it. I thought it's pretty great.
Yeah,
It's
I feel
small.
like all that's gonna change is, like, they'll just add different enemies, different, and then the executions were like pretty disappointing. I was like, the first couple I was like, oh,
Oh, I heard.
I'm like,
I heard
come
they
on.
did. I heard they tamed them down or something like that. Is that the
They
truth?
did
Like, ah,
significantly. There are some, but yeah, so far unless I'm doing it wrong, this might be user error. But I know the so I'm playing on PC as well. High five PC bro, Umbra. We
there you go.
maybe I'm just doing it wrong, but when the E props up, like, I hit it and it just does like a normal punch. So I'm like,
Yeah,
oh, that's so unsatisfying. There's like so much hype because I was so hyped up from playing previous Dooms and other games, to where I see that I'm like, oh, this is gonna be good. I'm gonna, summon half, or I'm just gonna, just destroy this thing, and then all of a sudden he's just like, boop, and,
yeah.
the guy just falls, and it's like, well, that was very anticlimactic.
Yeah. Yeah, because I mean the other one was like you were ripping like mouths apart and stuff, and like there was some real gory stuff there. Look, pity that Holly's not here this week on the launch of Doom because she's got something on, so she couldn't be here. But she's a Doom lover, and I would love to have gotten her take on how she sort of feel about it. I know she went through Eternal on stream, so go check that out. Her link's still in the description. She'll be back next week. We got to jump into another topic, and unfortunately, Donte's having some background issues with his audio. He's trying to work through.
Risk, before you move on, did you guys see the coin made by Ben Kenobi for Doom?
Yes, I did. Yeah.
Badass, man. I saw it earlier when he posted it. Looks dope.
Yeah, I don't know if I can show. Oh, yeah, I can show with it. Yeah, Ben actually sent me a message with his completed coin, but I don't want to, like, it's in the DM, so I didn't want to share what it was. But I can do it without showing the thing. So I'll bring it up on screen. It is sick. It is a good looking coin.
Yeah,
it is absolutely stunning. So
Badass.
good.
Badass.
Yeah, he's got skills. He has some skills, that's for sure. Shout out to Lotus Esprit with the 20 gifted memberships. If you're one of the recipients down the chat there, guys, please reach out to Lotus Esprit and say thank you. They've been a fantastic supporter of the show. Really appreciate you. We got to talk about
Lotus. When are you coming back to my show to give people membership? No, I ain't got no memberships activated. I'm playing. Thank you, Lotus, for the donations.
Absolute legend. Look, we got to talk about this new is Xbox on ARM, and so this has come out in an article. I'll jump to the article and just give a little bit of a verbatim. So in a job listing for Qualcomm, the maker of the Snapdragon solutions, they have launched a job with just a few quotes that seem to, obviously, that do relate to Xbox. In the job description, it reads, support the selling activities for next generation of Surface and Xbox products built on Snapdragon solutions, identify and promote strategic business opportunities for Qualcomm in these areas, and work with internal and external stakeholders, including legal, finance, business units, marketing, and the field teams to help define the next generation of Surface and Xbox portfolios. People have taken this to mean that it's possible that the next Xbox will be built on ARM. So first of all, I'll just say I know factually from a source that this is not true. And that's not to say that there won't be handhelds, and there's some nuance that will be built on ARM, but the next Xbox generation will not be an ARM chip. The reason being, and this is not a quote from the source that I spoke to, and this was in the past. This is just happened to be something that was a conversation in the past that happened to come to the fore now, which is why it's not verbatim, because my memory is not that good. But basically, the emulation power required to run an ARM chip, that with where ARM chips are at this time, would basically waste valuable resources of the console to emulate it. And that would drive up the cost of the console and make it unnecessarily more expensive. So to run the way that everything's built with x86 and, obviously everything across the industry, it just would not be cost effective. It wouldn't be power efficient. It just doesn't, at this time, make sense for Xbox to release a console with an ARM chip, purely ARM chip. There is some benefits from it. And those benefits mostly would benefit form factors type devices. So you get better power efficiency. And because of that, you're able to shrink that chip down and make it a lot smaller and to fit it into a smaller form factor. There is some. I think that this is the burgeoning or the beginning of maybe some sort of integration that they're going to be working on just because of those smaller form factors. So when I say small form factor, I'm talking about a handheld. It's probably likely that they might be looking at an ARM chip for the handheld. I don't know that at all. What I do know is that the next Xbox console is not running on an ARM. So yeah, I hate to, to just kibosh that immediately, but there is some interesting conversation to be had about, if they start basically running a handhelds with ARM chips, they'll start doing research and R&D on that to see how that's working. They'll probably start to streamline it. They could use AI upscalers, and eventually down the road you may see an ARM chip console. But yeah, for this one, not happening. Cork, I don't know how much you're into your tech, but how did you feel when you sort of heard the news about this? Where did your mind go towards? Did you think it was going to be a new Xbox or handheld?
No, handheld for sure. Or, I think that's kind of more the direction that these ARM chips are made for. Is definitely handheld. Like you pretty much hit it on the name, the nail on the head with its form factor and its power efficiency and things. It's not going to power a beast like, supposedly, especially with, Sarah a while back saying this is going to be the next, biggest generational leap of technology. You don't really get that with ARM. So with that, I'm pretty sure it could be the ROG Ally, or maybe they're looking at their own Xbox chip. I mean, it would be a little bit too late, I think, in the development process for their own exclusive handheld. I'm not talking about the ROG one that's been floating around out there, but definitely I think for handhelds it's a good move. Um, and yeah, I just don't think it's going to power the next Xbox. It's just not there. We're not there yet, and I think they had a great relationship with AMD. That I just I can't really see it. Them branching out in that direction. Especially when they're these other consoles. They've always touted these consoles as being like the next big thing, the next massive power. Power your dreams. Before then the it was the most powerful console um alive, or something like that. I'm trying to remember what it said on the back of my shirt at a fan fest a long time ago. um but that
The
kind of
most
thing. And
powerful console ever.
yeah,
Ever?
I think it was something like
Someone.
that. Yeah, I was definitely
Yeah.
the most powerful console, and then there was a little, afterline for that. But yeah, I just don't see it. It's a great handheld for that. I love it for handheld. I'm excited for Xbox handheld, especially with them trying to integrate their systems. I mean, that's the whole reason why they switched from the SDK to the GDK after the Xbox One. Going to the Xbox Series S is, if you're develop or X, the S or X. If you're developing on the GDK, you're developing for PC, and you just have to add. I think it's like something else. It's like the GDK X, and then that adds in the Xbox ecosystem to it. So if you're developing for PC, you're practically developing for an Xbox console or an
Yeah.
Xbox handheld, or especially with the S. Like everyone dogged the S, everybody dogged it, but now we're looking at it, and now Sony's scrambling trying to get a handheld, but they went higher rather than lower. Xbox, they kind of hit that middle ground, but they went a little bit lower with the Series S, and now it's going to be a lot easier for developers to develop for their handheld because of the Series S. You kind of get that with the ecosystem and the GDK.
Yeah, on that though, you got to sort of think about if it's an ARM chip, there's going to be a fair bit of there's going to be differences. It's not going to be the same, right? So they're either going to have to emulate or develop directly for. So I don't think, and Kay's in the chat, and me and Kay have had some back and forth about the S over time, which I think is a great little machine. But I think there was definitely some problems with the way that it was launched, it was handled, and so on. And then just we won't get into that again. But I think that there's a bit of divergence from if you're using from x86 to ARM, you're gonna if they can R&D and get some integration going there, or R&D and get that emulation, not using as many resources, then that could be very interesting. And I think that handheld is a good way to sort of do that. And then having less resources to work with in that way, then yeah, I can understand how developers would be more keyed in and prepped to develop for the handheld. But it's a bit of a different ball game when it's an ARM chip. So are they x86ing on top of the ARM, or what are they actually doing? Now I know that some games are developed for the ARM for Mac. and specifically for, but they're games that usually come later. So there is some experience in the industry developing for ARM. Be really interesting to see how this all sort of shakes loose. Could ARMS make a few leaps in the future and become a stronger chip for all the handhelds? Who knows? But I think a handheld is a good entry point for Xbox to start experimenting with, to see how they can emulate or run or build games for those ARM chips and see where they can go with it. Or using a virtual, as Kay says. I think he's talking about.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I think he's talking about setting a virtual machine on top of in the actual ARM system, which again is then technically a type of emulation. Correct me if I'm wrong, Kay.
They definitely can. If anybody can, it would be Xbox. I mean, look at how quick Resume works. Look at their backwards compatibility. They're practically emulating the console OS onto your Series X and S to play those old school games.
Yeah, well, that's it. Well, they've got three. You've got your back compat emulator, you've got your games hypervisor, and then you've got your OS hypervisor as well. They're all separate, but work in conjunction. So yeah, I mean, look, possibly they could use a virtual machine. Shout out to Lotus Spree with it. $20 says at Infinite Umbra. I will definitely send that to Umbra. Make sure he gets it. 20 Australian dollars though, just because.
20 Australian dollars is like half of no.
It's like $3,
right?
$3 American dollars.
He's gonna send that, and he's gonna send it. And it's gonna probably have like a poisonous spider inside the like case or something. Anyway, I was gonna say, so my thinking on this is that very obviously this ARM-based system, if this is true, which I wouldn't doubt, is it points to the whole point of the handheld, right? Very much, right? But I still wonder. And this is why I would love for you to be in here, Kay, because I would have to get your thoughts on this a bit more. But you feel free to type it up if you want, because I want to know how they're going to handle this versus because we already have an understanding. Basically, we haven't seen specific official proof, but we have an understanding that basically there's going to be a handheld option and a standard option, like a Series X, if you will, that we plug into the TV, right? So how does this work with the development pipeline of everything they're trying to do? Because you got the challenges of backward compatibility, and now they're running like the PlayStation. They're both running x86, right? And that's a AMD APU. So how does that work when it comes to trying to carry forward, backward compatibility and the ecosystem transition? Because also that right there, the how they operate on Windows is also that. How does that work when that mean they would have to like recompile and rewrite everything for ARM-based situations? So how would that work, Kay, if they're doing that? Okay, Kay says,
would have to. Yeah. They would have to emulate something. Oh, hang on. It hasn't come up on my screen yet, but I could see on the other screen it's come up. Yeah, cool. I'll work it up. Go for it.
All right. Yeah. So Kay says, Microsoft is not asking devs to change the pipeline. That's the one way to get people not to develop for them. They let developers keep doing what they're doing, and the virtual hardware takes care of the rest. Huh.
Yeah, so that's like that is a type of emulation though, because you're sitting a piece of a virtual machine on top of your ARM-based system, but that also chews up resources. So I'm really interested to see, you know what I mean? So if you're going for the most powerful machine on the market, or you're going to release the most powerful, and that's your sort of thing, like cost pound for pound wise, you wouldn't go an ARM chip, because it's just. You've got to sit a virtual machine on top of it that's going to chew up resources to emulate x86 in an ARM chip. Which correct me if I'm wrong, Kay. But I mean, this is what I've been told. But also, it can be done.
Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry. I thought you would kind of wrap it up.
Yeah, well, it can be done, but again, like that back compat solution is a virtual machine that sits within the Xbox as well. So it can 100% be done. I think Kay says the back compat solution is the same solution they're using to leverage on a handheld. It's one solution for both problems. So that virtual machine sort of problem where it sits inside the container of ARM, but is x86. So correct me if I'm wrong, Kay.
A lot of this sound like I'm hearing him on it, but at the same time, my tiny computer brain is not computing this, Kay. So I get the idea of the virtual machine, but then I'm also wondering, Yeah, but with the APUs, we already know that they're less powerful than the standard GPU, CPU situation on separately, right? And how they tend to work. In the ARM architecture, at least, it doesn't have the power like for the thermal and the power constraints in general. How does he say you're right? By the way, Risk. I know Risky. Like, don't tell him he's right, K, because that'll blow his head up. Say like, Risky, you're on to something or something like that. Say that instead. Okay, so you want to read that, Risk? I'll let you read that.
He says the reason why is which is 100%. The reason why what Cork said is very useful there. They train devs for the Series S, which gives overhead for an ARM chip. So like working, basically, I think what he said, to correct me if I'm wrong, they work with reduced resources. So because it's going to reduce the resources that they have sitting that container inside of an ARM chip, they should be able to work a lot better with it and squeeze a little bit more out of it, right? But again, this is exactly why I was told that they're not using an ARM chip for the new Xboxes, because if you're going for cost performance, right, and then you got to pass that on to the consumer, you don't use something that's going to require you to use any sort of emulation hypervisor. It's going to burn up resources. You want as much resources from the hardware as you can get to pass on to the developers, so that when you so that your machine is as powerful as it can be.
So if I could add one more thing to that. Now, I would think that it's also a pricing situation, right? Like the overhead costs.
Yes.
Because I now allowed to do R&D for this versus also one for the standard fare they're using with AMD. I'm guessing that would cost a lot. Now, we can already assume that they're going to be raising the prices for next-gen consoles fairly significant based off the current trend. Even we've said this many times, based off what they did for the Pro, Sony charged for that. And now we also have the tacked on situation because of the tariffs, thanks to our government. So we have that situation as well. So now I imagine trying to navigate that and also put on the pricing of that wouldn't be effective for them if they're trying to sell these devices.
No, I mean, those tariffs are trickling down through the. I'm sorry, I couldn't help it.
Oh my goodness, yeah. Yeah.
Let's not get back into that conversation. Let's go. Shout out to Lotus Spring while we got a break. Is gifted the 20 memberships. If you guys are in the chat, please shout out to Lotus. I really appreciate your support. And if you're in the chat and you received a membership, please shout out to Lotus and say thank you. It's fantastic support. Appreciate you, Lotus. Exactly that is what I was told was, and it's not verbatim, but it's pretty close to exactly what I was told, was that the emulation power required to run the ARM chip that's with the ARM technology that's currently available would just waste valuable resources, and it would make it unnecessarily more expensive, was what I was told. Not completely verbatim. How boo this man. We won't get back into the conversation, Cal. I promise I won't bring that up ever again in Discord.
That wasn't my statement. That wasn't my statement.
Fonz, we're not doing it.
I didn't say that the current pricing situation was the tariff situation, but it is actually tied to that, though. So I think what you said is not factually correct. They did price this because they know that those tariffs are going to go into effect. So they're going to also make sure that they prepare themselves for the tariffs. But I'm talking about for the future, the next generation console. I'm saying tariffs could affect that possibly. That's what I was saying.
Yeah, and the other thing is, like, I can 100, like, even if you are in the camp of it's not because of the tariffs, I think we had this tariff conversation coming up anyway, but like, Fonz, if you want to have that tariff discussion, I recommend Kay's Discord. It's always a great place. You will find yourself with lots of support in there. That was a little bit of sarcasm.
I don't get yeah, Fonz, all love. It's no issue, but I just don't understand how you don't think that they're pricing in the tariffs. I don't get that. I really don't.
Even if you think that, it is. Like, it links too, right? Because the company can then go, because of these tariffs, even if that's not the case, even if we'll do that in Discord, Fonz, even if that's not the case, they are linking it to tariffs. PlayStation's already said they're going to link their next price rise to tariffs. Xbox is going to be blaming it on tariffs. Like, they're all going to blame it on the tariffs, whether it's the tariffs or it's not. Like,
100%.
if you want to have that conversation, that's one thing. But then if you move it out a little bit further and look at it as a broader picture, like, the tariffs are going to get blamed. That's just what's going to happen. And then by default, that means that it is the tariffs' fault. And then you could have the argument like, well, meet me outside this chat. But even if you have, you can just stand back and say, like, well, they would have raised prices anyway. Absolutely, possibly they might have, but we'll never know. And so you then have to link it like you just have to link it back to that, because that's just what it is. It is what it is. Like,
if Fonz tell me meet me outside, how about that?
How about that?
I don't want no smoke, Fonz. We're just talking about tariffs, player. Don't beat me up now.
Yeah, I mean, we are going to get onto the tariff thing. Well, let's get onto that, because look, I think we can all agree that this ARM chip is very likely a handheld, and I can tell you 100% without a shadow of a doubt, as a factual, like, from the guy who told me knows 100%. Trust me, it's not going to be an ARM chip in the next Xbox. That's just I can most definitely guarantee you. Donte J. Moody has entered the fray. Welcome back. How's your week been? What have you been up to? How's things, Donte? Audio issues ensue. He's still got audio issues. It's all good. It's all good.
All right, you muted
come
me
back.
in
Guys,
stage.
before we do come back, please hit the
me?
like button, share us how we go live 8 p.m. EST every Friday. We are going to talk this tariffs conversation, because it has been on my topics list for...
There's the echo.
Yeah, I'm getting stupid feedback.
Ah, damn it.
Feedback now?
Still there?
No, feedback's gone.
Stay there.
Yeah, I think we're good.
We're good.
Please like button, share us how we go live 8 p.m. EST every Friday. Still there.
Yeah.
I think Dante's looping his audio back into his mic.
Right. But he's muted, so it shouldn't be echoing, and I'm not hearing it. Echo.
Oh, it might be. So if it's EV Mux down here at the bottom, it might be his microphone needs muted down there. Is it muted?
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he's muted.
So
yeah, it should be good. We should be good.
Sounds good, but you're echoing now.
I'm echoing.
Yeah, Donte sounds fine. Donte, say something really quick. Yeah, it's just you, Riskit.
I can't hear him. I'll be right back.
As well.
I love this program. I love this program.
You're coming clear. But I hear yourself again.
Oh no.
Do I need to leave too?
No. I came in and then I ruined it. I brought my tech issues to the party. Sorry, fam.
Spread the love.
Sorry, fam.
Testing. Yeah, doing it.
Can you hear me? Am I still feedbacking or no?
Now you sound fine.
For me, it's feedback.
Okay. For me,
feedbacking.
You can hear it as well. Damn.
I can hear myself. I have like a monitoring system.
I'm going to step out too and jump back in. I think maybe it's just EV Mux.
All right.
We should be good. That is an echo.
You still echo?
I still hear a slight echo.
Echo. All right, I'm gonna leave and come back. Peace.
What about now?
Nope.
Why is that? That's very, very strange that we haven't. Where did Umbra go?
He's gonna reset his EV Mux as well. I use EV Mux and I've had troubles with it as well. So Corkenstein did as well, and I think he went back to OBS.
Right. Yeah. There is some issues with this program. It can be painful at times. Apologies, guys, in the chat. Yeah, you're good. I think it's definitely got it's got something to do with Dante's audio. That he's relooping it back in some.
Yeah, because I have a Rodecaster Pro 2, and sometimes if you don't have the routing set right, it will loop back your audio into your mic, and then that's how you create that feedback loop.
Yeah. Well, we still got it. What about now?
Time out.
Nope, it's
No,
gone now.
see, I'm good.
I
Cork is
think his
good.
audio is his routing, if he has a mixer, is not set up, so it's looping back into his microphone.
Into
It
his
might be
mic.
that.
Yeah.
But
His system
Yeah.
audio is looping into the mic.
Riskit, say something because you echoed for a second. Let's see.
Yeah, but I put the mute on Donte, so that's what probably.
Okay.
And then he's unmuted. And it's looping back in. Yeah, Donte, you're looping your audio back into the mic somehow, and it's coming back into the show. So I'm not sure how.
I was going to say maybe the quickest fix, Donte, might be to plug the mic straight to the PC and out of the mixer.
Reset it. It's been acting crazy.
Let's see.
Copy that.
What do you have your microphone set at for EV Mux?
I've had to mute.
Okay.
Yeah, it's doing a loop back. But Donte's he'll probably jump in if he gets it fixed. He'll jump in. If not, all good. Now okay. So look, let's talk Sony's price rises. So there's a couple of things here. Sony had an earnings call, and during the financial forecasting call for the coming year, Sony's chief financial officer Lin Tao confirmed that the company has been considering passing on the 100 billion yen hit that Sony expects to take due to United States tariffs on its US customers. I've had this tariff conversation in the in the topics list for about since I think for the last 100 days. We just haven't got to it.
We should have had Fonz on here so me and him can duke it out live. That would have been something right there.
Well, he's welcome. He's always welcome to join.
Fonz, where you at, brother?
Fonz,
join in with us.
If you're out there, we could battle it out. So yeah, I mean, I guess I said everything I needed to say on that. Like, I think that the tariffs are just having that effect. Whether or not it's the tariffs directly or indirectly, they're being blamed for the problem. You can still put it back on the tariff. And it just creates an uncertainty across the globe. You know, I think you got to look outside of. Oh yeah, you're good. I think you're good. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. I think I fixed the issue. I fixed the glitch.
I was gonna say we see your background though, just a heads up. But
yeah, it's all good. So that's my snowboard. I'll fix the stuff out later. But audio was first. So
yeah. Okay. Just wanted to make sure you were good with it.
Yeah, for sure.
By the way,
I'm gonna get the cat. Here. My cat's coming in.
My brothers are still out there snowboarding, they're going to tropical island areas. Like you just globe trotting out there.
Gotta do it all. All right, now we're back.
How you been, Donte?
I've been good, man. I've been good. Outside of the issues I've had with the roadie, it's been good, man. How about yourselves?
Yeah, good. Yeah, good, man. Good to see you. I know you were at work. What have you been playing? You played Doom? How you feeling about that?
Haven't started Doom, man. I just think I finally wrapped up Claire's Gear. So I just finished that. I actually just kind of started New Game Plus because I just wanted to see what it was like, and it's just pretty much I'm one-shotting everything. But yeah, I did pretty much everything. I think there's like four achievements. Like this is one I was going to try to get all the achievements. I think it's like 4 I haven't got that I noticed my man Umbra has got. So I mean, because I did a compare to see like who got what, and Umbra has the 4 that I have. So they're like weird odd ones where it's like, you know, with Sael get 20 stacks of something on an enemy before, you know, consuming them all. Weird ones like that. So I was like, all right, I'll go back and I'll get those little things. But I think I found and fought pretty much all the main like side bosses that I could find and the chromatic bosses and stuff like that. So it's a game that I just wanted to kind of do as much as I can. Did all of the gestural beach stuff. So I did all those side stuff and got pretty much. Yeah, it's pretty much everything that I thought was pretty much impactful and meaningful. So yeah, that's it. So now I'm on the next game. I think I'm gonna try Oblivion out next. So I'll probably.
You know what's crazy? My Oblivion is on my Mount Rushmore, Donte. I actually pushed that aside for Expedition 33 because I thought I'll get through this. It's only 20-hour, 30-hour campaign, and I'll get back
Yeah.
to my game, Oblivion. Man, Expedition 33 wiped out all thought of anything else.
It sure did to me too. Same thing.
Yeah, it's definitely my game of the year. Look, let's jump on these straight into these tariffs because Donte, welcome to the fire.
Yeah.
Fonz Gaming, shout out to Fonz. He says, let's just up the price of everything right now in case tariffs get placed later. Yeah, it makes perfect sense for greedy corporation. Don't fall for it. Yeah, but I mean, again, you can track that back to tariffs. If they can use something as an excuse, that excuse has been willed into existence by Trump. So, and listen, just before we do get into this, as Umbra knows, and I think everyone's I'm very much down the middle. I would classify myself as a libertarian, and I fucking hate people always, but I would classify myself as a libertarian. I'm very much straight down the middle on, and I lean right on some economical issues, and I lean left on a lot of social issues. So, for me, and I don't really have a dog in the fight, insofar as not on a local sense, but on a global sense, what Trump's doing has created a lot of instability globally. And I didn't like that my politicians didn't stand up to him. However, I don't think we can argue that what he's done, what he is doing, whether the end result, and let's not get into end result, let's just say that no one knows the end result because we're not there yet. But whether the end result ends up being a net positive or the end result ends up being a net negative, I just don't think it's arguable that that tariffs aren't to blame for the current price rises in tech that we're seeing, even if it's something that can be used as an excuse and doesn't eventuate in any extra cost for these companies. And predictive cost is is bullshit, because I know big corporations are just usually behind on predicting. Like, it takes a very good large scale company to be predicting price rises and reacting accordingly so quickly to them. I know the company I work for doesn't. You know what I mean? You go through the price list of the products that we need to or the assets that we need to purchase to operate our business. And I was literally going through the price list, just our quote lists and all that sort of stuff. You're going back these are prices from 5 years, and no one's made the adjustments all the way up to contracts yet. And contracts are still charging our customers 5 year ago prices because they steer the ship so slowly. So I can get down behind with what Fonz is saying. They're like, cool, here's an excuse. Let's throw our iron into the fire and say we're going to do this because X, Y, Z. That's not true. And so I could definitely get down with that argument. But you dad can't argue that the reason that they're using is not due to the tariffs, because that's the reason. Now I just twisted myself in knots. I'm gonna untwist myself. I'm gonna jump to Donte, and get his views on. Do we think
be communist?
Shit.
So Donte, I'm gonna leave it to you for a couple of minutes. And sort of give us your take on the tariffs. Look, I'll jump to Cork. I quickly need to nick out and grab a coffee because otherwise I'll be like, because we're talking tariffs and it's not something that excites me. But we got to talk about it. So, Donte, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think anybody who's properly paying attention. I mean, I work for a financial firm, so not to get too much crazy into the political aspect of it, tariffs are definitely having an impact on the cost of goods. Simple as that, right? Especially goods that are made over in foreign countries that are basically used for the products that we consume. A lot of times electronics. So even if stuff was being made here in the US, the parts themselves a lot of times are made in another country. So those you get tariffed on that particular part to import, right? So what you're seeing obviously is companies who are going to react right now and then make an adjustment because they are not going to eat that cost. They're simply going to pass it along. That's just basically simple economics. The company is going to basically eat that, especially for game devs, where if you make a console that you generally sell at a loss, you're not going to incur more of a loss on it if the price of making that particular product goes up. So that's just what it is. It's a weird, chaotic thing that he's done, which it's kind of something of his own making. And what we're seeing is companies that are going to react. I think PlayStation probably will suit next in a little bit, where they will start raising the price on their units that they're going to obviously selling here within the U.S. So yeah, that it's just an unfortunate side effect that we're going to see, and I think it will probably get worse unless they come up with a more comprehensive way to kind of address how they're handling tariffs. And right now, it's yet to be seen. So right now, I just think anyone should just be expecting the idea that certain things are going to be adjusted, and this is the reason behind it. And let's hope that over time it levels out, because as of right now, I can't see a situation where people are going to be spending on average, $700-800 for consoles, if that's going to be the new standard and the new norm. And we feel the next one's probably going to be more, right? So I can only imagine, like, if the next console was going to be $750 or something like that, or $799 or $699, with this, if things don't change, who's paying $1,000 or upwards of that for the next product? So yeah, that's where we're at. I wasn't shocked that Microsoft made the move. I just think it's, I understand us as the consumer being a little bit pissed off, saying like, oh, here we are, greedy companies being greedy. But you got to think of it from a perspective of their job is to make a profit, and if they're losing money on selling hardware, and they're it's costing them more to basically sell hardware, of course we're going to be the fall guy for it to pick up that particular cost. So, just kind of accept that reality, unfortunately.
Yeah, and with that, I took a lot of strays on on Boom. Well, not strays, I guess, but on Boomcast on Friday when we talked about it a while back. It's not just going to be the U.S. that gets hit. I mean, this is going to be a global instance. If China's getting hit, you know damn well they're going to go to wherever they ship, and they're going to eat the cost, because it's not just going to be solely on one country to feed the cost to offset it. They're going to spread that cost to everybody they can, and that's basically what's happening. I know a lot of people said, well, why is it global? Why is it, it's like, that's the reason why. Crap rolls downhill, and it doesn't matter where you're at, you're going to get hit by it if you're on the bottom level. And unfortunately, us as consumers to corporations, we are on them. And anything that they do is going to have a direct effect to us. This is definitely something that really sucks, because gaming is, and Paris said it best. This shouldn't be an elitist hobby, and sadly, because of the tariffs, they are starting to. We are starting to see people get priced out, which makes me thankful for like consoles like the Series S. For I was gonna say handhelds, but I'm like, I don't know, that ROG Ally is like $900, $800.
ROG is pricey too. Yeah.
Yeah. But like something like the Series S, I mean, yeah, are you getting the best? I mean, no. I mean, you may be stuck to 30 frames per second. You're not getting that true 4K. But I mean, it's definitely something that is available for consumers that can, that want to be in the gaming sphere, that want to be in that gaming ecosystem. And that's why they're there. And that's why they buy the Series S, because that's something that they could afford. But I do think, like I said, it's just more on a global scale of what's happening, and that's why you're seeing just this. No, like you said, I think you said it perfectly. No company, their main number one reason for starting a business is to make a profit. Yeah, they have a good to sell. Yeah, they want to put the customer first, but in the end result, you can only put the customer first as long as you're making a profit. So, and maybe some people can say, hey, maybe this might be a little bit too much. That might be some fair criticism, especially for a $1 trillion company. But again, I'm not a CEO. Microsoft is a $1 trillion company. Xbox is a $1 billion company.
It's a part of the company. Yeah,
yeah,
they don't have that access to that war chest.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Some people don't realize that Xbox is a $1 billion company. Microsoft is a $1 trillion company. They're two different entities that have to be budgeted and ran separately. I know I might be putting some people to sleep on this, but yeah, that's just what it is. So people think of Xbox like they're trillions of dollars, and that's just not the case. Daddy Warbucks isn't gonna keep funneling money into a loss.
Yep.
Right now, Xbox isn't a loss. They're a pillar of Microsoft right now. They're making money. They're grabbing MAUs. They're doing way better than they ever have in the past few years than they ever did, and they want to keep that rolling, and especially with tariffs coming in, and the console prices and what that's going to do. Consoles aren't, and that's what frustrates me too, is that consoles aren't the metric. They've never been the metric for the most part. They are. I'm not saying they're not important, but they're not a metric that Microsoft focuses on. And
We
this is why.
represent the MAU Guild, the MAU Guild,
I was, what the hell is
the
that?
MAU Guild. We represent.
Yeah.
The MAU Guild, hell
Dead.
no.
Dead.
And that's what it is. They've always focused on MAUs. They've always focused on live service. They've always focused on subscriptions. And that's what's kept Microsoft in the game, not console sales. Sony had the different approach. They wanted to look at sell-in. For those that don't know, sell-in is they're selling to retailers. These aren't in the consumer's hands. That's why their numbers are so jacked up. You saw like everyone's reporting 77 million sold. But then when you actually look a little further down, it's like 56 million have actually been sold. 77 million have been shipped. There's two different things, but that's a 21 million, console difference. And yeah,
Welcome,
that's just what
Fonz.
it
With the,
is.
I got to jump in here and say,
No, yeah,
welcome,
please.
Fonz. With the I was tariffed. I love that. I love the thing. Just quickly before we welcome Fonz, I will say there is global effects, and when it comes to countries, sorry, like Australia, we've got other effects that are back end effects. So if China becomes say over tariffed, what they may do is start stockpiling their iron ore just to save a little bit of cash. That'll have a back-end effect on Australia. So there is back-end effects globally that happen for different countries have relationships with China. When China starts getting squeezed, they tend to push back, and not just push back on the US. They will push back on other countries. Definitely. Fonz, welcome, man. Great to have you on. It's been a long, long time. Good to see you, man. So tariffs, you got tariffed. How you feeling? Oh.
Fonz, no audio. I gave it to Fonz now. It's like a virus. I just keep
You might just be
spreading
muted.
it.
Yeah.
Unmute the phone.
Now? How about now?
There it is.
You're
There it
good.
is.
Yeah, we got
Okay.
you. We got
There
you.
you go, brother.
No, it's just it's funny to me. I can't argue with the fact that, of course, all these companies are going to use the tariffs for leverage in an argument about, hey, upping prices and things like that. Because I mean, by the way, I'm under the weather today, so my voice is in and out.
Damn, sorry, brother.
Apologies. Yeah, no, I have a bad sinus infection. Freaking allergies hit me this year. I can't even. It's rough. But no, of course they're going to use it as an excuse. And the reason why I say it's an excuse, as of right now anyway, not only are the tariffs paused, but not even about that necessarily. Tariffs, usually when you roll in a tariff, it takes a while to feel that because you've got product here in the States still. Like I'm sure there's still a lot of Xboxes and stuff that are here and throughout various countries. There's stock. That stuff isn't tariffed. And why they decided to just tariff it on May 1st, as soon as they heard the tariffs were coming, is kind of crazy because most products you'll hear on the newscasts and stuff, you'll hear them talk about how you're going to feel the effects of this 3 months down the line, when you start getting new product rolling in, shipped from overseas, from China and stuff. And people don't really think about that right away. They just think, oh, the tariffs are here. Man, everything's got to go up right now. And that's not the way it works. So I just see that as complete greed, doing it right away. And
getting ahead of it is what it seems like. But I hear you. They're like, let's immediately make sure we don't.
It's crazy to get ahead of it like that soon, like day one. Like I know they have a lot of stock. I mean, Xboxes aren't selling, so there's stock here for sure. But also, the other point I wanted to make too is another reason is Microsoft in general. We all know. I mean, we've been following these guys for years now, especially here. On your channel, Riskit, you've been doing the. You know what they're doing, Microsoft. They're just tired of losing out on these consoles. That's another thing. Tired of subsidizing. And I warned people before this whole tariff thing, any of this talk 3 months ago. whenever the PS5 Pro came out and launched at $700, that's when I told people, hey, next gen's going to cost you an arm and a leg, people, if you want to stick to console. It's just going to happen. It's going to be at least that price. And I think it's going to be more expensive than that, to be honest, because the other factor that a lot of people don't talk about is, I think you touched on it a little bit when I was listening to you, Riskit, earlier in this show. You mentioned that we're still paying 5-year-old prices on these consoles. Well, now even more, which is crazy because if you look it up, quick Google search, these chips have gone down in price. There's no reason why we should be paying the same amount for a console 5 years into the generation. And I heard from another, I don't want to use his name because I don't want him to get in trouble or anything, but it's somebody you guys well know in the Xbox community. And he told me as well that he knows for a fact that Xbox has started to get money, some revenue from these consoles. It's not much, but they're making money on these consoles now because
in terms
of
of no longer taking a loss.
They're no longer taking a loss. Yeah,
got it.
And that's been that way for a couple of years now, because again, these prices have gone down. So when I look at this whole situation, I just look at them as just not wanting to lose out anymore, and that's fine. You have that as a capitalist freaking society. That is your business. Like if you want to conduct your business in that way, by all means, raise prices if that's what you want to do. But don't expect people to get all happy about it or anything. Especially, I think the thing that really irritates me the most is the game prices. There was no reason to touch the game prices at all. And the fact that they're going to go up to $80, and you can't claim tariffs.
Costs.
You can't claim tariffs on that, right? Because honestly, this was going to happen regardless. We foresaw this when Strauss Zelnick was talking about $100 on a GTA game, possibility anyway. I foresaw them going up to $80 regardless. As soon as one company does it, they all do it. Nintendo did it, Microsoft followed suit. It's just going to roll down that way. And then we found out what Borderlands is $80, Borderlands 4, which is insane. That game it shouldn't be $60. I mean,
but I think that makes sense. So the $80 games make sense, and I'll say why. But on the opposite end of the spectrum is the hardware doesn't make sense. The reason the hardware doesn't make sense is because you're not in that new generation yet. So you're not offering the consumer anything, or at least you can't pitch to the consumer, hey, we're offering you this extra. I mean, when you bring GTA, we're like, this is the shiny new GTA. This is going to do this.
But here's where I will argue. Here's where I'm going to argue on that. I think that it shouldn't be $80 across the board. It should be a game-by-game basis.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, okay. But so like in your example, though, you said like Borderlands 4 is going to be a AAA game, though. Right? That's going to be a big endeavor.
Here's the problem. It shouldn't matter. That's exactly what I'm getting at, Donte. I don't feel that every AAA game should be $80. I don't, because not every AAA game costs $100+ million to make. You look at a game like GTA 6 costing $2 billion, which is insane. They chose to do this because they know that's a cash cow and they're going to rake in the revenue with that game. So by all means, if they charge $80, they're going to get it. People are going to buy it. I mean, we know the hype for that game. But a game like Borderlands 4, they're not spending $150 million or upwards of that. They're not spending that amount of money for that game. So I don't think every game should be priced that way. If you look at a game like Expedition 33, matter of fact, I think that game was a lot cheaper to make. And look at the success of that game. And it's priced very valued, like it valued friendly. It's what, $50 for the game, which is insane. Yeah. And then
that's like Game Pass slop, though, as they say. So that's why it's so cheap.
No, and then you get other games like Baldur's Gate 3. Like, honestly, that game was only $100 million to make total. Okay, there should be no reason to price that game at $70 at the time. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't think that it should be just across the board. Every game, every AAA game should be $80. Every AA game should be $40. I think it should be priced according to what they spent in these games. I think they should be more honest with the consumers.
With Microsoft's strategy, when you think about it like this, right, it makes sense for them to do it, right? Because if we go back to the Xbox gamers don't buy games, you've got Game Pass, right? You're getting revenue from that. You've upped the price of that, I think, a couple of times. We've already seen. So that makes sense. You're squeezing as much out of as you can out of the Xbox and PC community consumer, right? Maybe not the PC guys. I think you guys should pay more, frankly. But then you look at when
that's
they're
already
setting their
started.
games.
Riskit. That's already started. You're seeing more and more games.
PC guys like, why are you bringing us into this?
No.
What did I do?
PC guys are spending $70 on more games today. It's happening. Now, they may be buying less games because of it, but there are a lot of $70 games on PC this generation.
But for Microsoft specifically to do it first, and it's not a defense of it at all. I'm not defending it because I think over here we're looking at $140 a game when you put that $80 price tag on it. You can get it like if you shop around, get physical, that sort of stuff. But for Microsoft, it makes sense because they're sending their games over to PlayStation, right? And it makes sense to tack that extra on. Hey, if we're making this concession of sending all of our first party over there, and we know our games are doing really, really well in that ecosystem, we're starting to get a good reputation.
I'm going to push back on what you just said. How is it a concession that because they're pushing it over to PlayStation? I mean, honestly,
they know they'll pay
it. They're going to be making a buttload of money putting it on that console over there. They're just making more money over and over. I don't see any. I don't see it as a concession. I see it more as just them.
Well, the concession is Game Pass, but you're going to get the value over here for the Game Pass. They still want to push people to Game Pass. That's their ultimate goal. But just to go back, because I never did get a chance to speak on this.
Go ahead.
I agree with you and Riskit. I think Riskit, I agree. I align with more on this whole discussion of the tariffs. I do get your point when you speak that these companies are greedy. That's not even a question.
Yeah.
100% agreed. But when we talk about the tariff situation, the ESA and everybody else have already come out. They say, yes, these tariffs will affect things going forward. I'm not saying that the tariffs automatically did it right now. That's stuff to come. That's why I said next gen. Next gen might be affected. That all depends. And now we have a lot of uncertainty here because of leadership here, right? If you want to call them that. And because of that, it's caused a lot of issues. Now, you say that the tariffs are paused for now, but who's to say what could happen with this dude in charge? And I don't want to get political. I'm just saying, who knows what's going to happen with him in charge? And China, who is already like standoffish because of what he pulled. Who knows what they might do? And the chips are made over in those territories. So the part of the issue is that at Taiwan and such, and Taiwan, I believe, has direct. I think some parts come from China too, if I'm not mistaken.
Vietnam, they kind of branched out.
Taiwan. And so a lot of those might cause issues. I don't know, but there was inflation of that, and that's why Sony was even thinking of moving production here to America. But so, which is, you could possibly say, hey, that's a positive, right? He brought some jobs here. You could probably argue that, right? Okay, if that happens. But regardless of all that, it's neither here nor there. Nothing is proven yet, and we can only go off speculation and say, oh, it's greed. I think
that's why I think it's sad to put it on the tariffs right now, especially if it isn't causing any price inflation right now. No, we're not feeling those effects yet. And here's my other rebuttal to you though.
Right? And
what happens
for that reason? Because that's why I agree with that part.
But what happens if those tariffs never take effect? And we will. I'll tell you what happens. These prices don't come down.
Yeah, they're going to keep the prices.
They already said that wasn't going to happen. That was spoken on the other day.
And that's like with every product you see nowadays. Like they never go based on inflation, everything, except for sometimes food and stuff. That's different. But I'm talking about electronics.
You know a reason why that might be
price, though. They stick to it, bro.
You know a reason why that might be though. Why they say they won't go back and change it again, because they don't know what he's going to do. So imagine, let's say something gets worked out, right? And then they say, okay, we'll go ahead and go back to the original price. And then 6 months down the line, he basically decides he's going to do something different, right? You can't keep flipping and flopping your price.
No, I understand.
You do it once.
You can, but you also cannot destroy your consumer base by setting a price so high that next generation, I'm looking at consoles that could go upwards of $1,000, and that's insane to say.
I agree.
Oh, yeah.
That's crazy.
I
But
will
we
say,
were already kind of headed to that direction. I mean, with the Pro, we've said it many times. With the Pro being priced at 700 plus, whatever, you already knew next gen was going to be pricey. So now,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
they were already preparing us for this, right? And if
Yeah,
you
exactly.
higher end fusion that we're talking about, future of Xbox and yes, Riskit PC, then yeah, those we gotta know. Hit me with it. That's it. Yes,
Yeah.
we know
Give it to
that.
him. Give it to him.
We
Give
know
it
it's
to
going to
him.
cost, right? But I agree where what we all agree is definitely is corporate greed. That's not even a question. Now we can't specifically prove that. Like, yeah, this is just pure greed, but we can. It's obvious, logical, reach.
Yeah, the only way I
that.
can prove that is that the tariffs, that the price went into effect May 1st, before tariffs were even.
so
The
I
effects
do-
of tariffs were even.
I do
felt.
want to push back just a little bit. I don't.
That's
I
all.
think part of it, how much they did, is corporate greed. But third generation longshoreman here, somebody that works, down at the docks, the ports emptied out pretty much. They cleared out for the most part all over the United States. We weren't getting ships in from China. We weren't. It was pretty bad, and that was like literally 2 weeks in, 2 weeks, 3 weeks in. So there is a reason why they instituted it really fast, because the supply line was going to dry up fast. So just a little context, just somebody that's on the inside of, I don't work full time at the docks, but I have family that do, and yeah, it dried up. It got pretty scary. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean,
One thing I want to say real quick, I was going to jump in, then you can grab it there, Riskit. In relation to the price of games, and largely I agree with you guys in terms of like, hey, the prices is getting kind of crazy with $80, and even if it gets to a case we see $100 games. But think of it from the standpoint of a star athlete, right? If the market is paying a certain price to play for this position, right? So if you make AAA games, or let's say you're the quarterback of an NFL football team, and the market is paying this medium income to the standard starting QB, you're not going to sit there and say, like, if your development costs, right? If your development costs puts you upwards of $100 million to make you're not going to sit there and say, and everybody else is charging $79.99. You're not going to really say, well, you know what? We're going to go ahead and charge it at, $49.99 or $69.99.
Of course.
Or the other, you know what I'm saying? Like, so people, unfortunately, companies are going to do that. They're going to say the market is saying that a game that has this particular budget, they're currently selling them at X. So why not us, right? And basically Take-Two is going to do the same thing. They're not going to be the ones to sit there and say, let's do right by the customer and say that this game, like, even if the development cost for Borderlands 4 is under $100 million, they're still not going to leave money on the table if other companies are putting out $80 games. So
that's why I
100%.
thought it was hilarious when EA came out and said, we're not going to up the price of sports games, when basically they make the most of their money off the microtransactions within those games. Like, they don't give a shit about that base price. It's all about those microtransactions. At the end of the day, it's all just bullshit. Excuse me. I think
That's fair way.
Go ahead, Fonz. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
yeah, but I do think I do think that EA, with all their other games and everything, you're definitely going to see them go up to $80 right away.
Yeah.
Everybody's going to go follow
For sure.
Yeah.
And that's why I joked on Twitter. I said, thanks a lot, Nintendo. And people were like, it's not Nintendo's fault. Like,
Well,
yes, I'm joking.
they were just, the companies were waiting for one of those companies to do
They
it.
were for them to do it. Same thing happened with PlayStation before with the $70 hike in 2K.
Do you
Or
really- this is
Nah,
the
I tell you the way to challenge that.
This is the
People
second-
don't buy games.
Hey,
if we ain't buying the games, they got no choice but to bring down the price. So just
yeah.
don't buy games for a while.
Exactly. And I think that's becoming a problem now. I see it already with the $70 games. Imagine all these $80 games now. I mean, just, I hate to put it this way, just looking at some sales of Doom the Dark Ages doesn't look so hot right now at $70. And I think that has a lot to do with it.
Well, I also think you've and I love to use this term because I know it's triggering. I think they're flooding the zone, right? With sorry, I couldn't help it.
You mean
If I-
too many games throughout
There's
the
too many games. there's too much for everyone to play at the moment, and so it's like I can wait, for this game to come out. I think that's a bit of a chess game that they're not playing like right now, because Microsoft is like, yeah, shit, we got games, let's just ram it there, right? And then there's going to be games that are going to fall by the wayside because there's so much content there. But also on top of that, you need to feed the beast that is Game Pass, and they're doing that really, really well at the moment. So, I mean, there's a bit of a juggling that I think Microsoft has to play, and I think because they do look. We had this conversation. Does games, Game Pass cannibalize games? Yeah, on some games, and on other games, it probably boosts sales. It depends on the game, depends on how it's relaunched, depends on a lot of things, right? But there's going to be an overall overarching thing where they're going to lose a little bit on the front end with Game Pass. They're going to make that up, and I think they're going to make that up with the sales over on PlayStation. They can see they're doing well there. They're like, well, let's jack it to 80 and see what happens with those sales over there. And if you're a corporation, and I'm not saying it's not greed, and I'm not saying it's a good thing, and I'm not saying it's good for the consumers, but if you're a corporation, you can get away with it. You will get away with it. Like they're going to try it out and see if it happens, right?
Well,
but Fonz, I've been a long time advocate for what you said, which is let's stop pricing games accordingly. According to how well we think they're going to do, how much time you're going to give your consumer in that game. How much did it cost? Like, why don't companies look at all these things and go, let's play with the product. Every game needs to be 70, 80, 50, 40, 20, whatever it needs to be, depending on the actual game. I think the indie market does that well. And just one more thing, and then I'll jump back to you, Fonz, is I think I've been saying this for quite some time, which I don't see console makers, and we're seeing it now, taking a loss on these consoles anymore, because the market is not what it once was. And you're not going to get a console where Microsoft's going to take a hit. It's going to be like their laptops. Any other hardware that they sell, they may only sell 10 million, but they're making a profit on every single unit they sell. And in that way, that makes it worth it to them to continue building that hardware, to continue bringing that hardware out. There is other caveats to that, where then that hardware business needs to start standing a little bit on its own 2 feet, and it doesn't. When you're looking at the Xbox overall overarching. Yeah. Overarchingly, like they're going to start looking at our software sales are separate to our hardware sales, and they're two separate divisions within the Xbox family. But if the hardware is not doing so well in 2 to 3 generations, and we're only selling 5 to 10 million, is it worth it? I think that's where we're going to end up in the future. But yeah, I don't see him taking a loss on it. I understand why they've done the $80 games.
If you're selling 5 to 10 million, let's say, let's explore that future, because that's one thing we're concerned with, right? In terms of like their strategy for becoming a publisher. If you're selling 5 to 10 million, under 20 million per se, because you're mainly focused on publishing games, but you're selling that 10, 15 million, 20 million at cost, like for a profit, you're putting it at its cost. You're not basically selling at a loss, right? Is that a problem? If you just get money on it because you're selling it at the actual cost, and you're getting performance, for those who are playing on PC, you're getting something close to that, but you want console without all the kind of like the hiccups, right? Potential hiccups with drivers and all that good stuff. Do they care if they're not losing money on that 15?
Well, that also depends. That also depends on volume too, because the more volume, of course, you're getting shipped and everything, the cheaper the prices get for you buying those, that console built in China or whatever. So yeah, manufacturing. So the more you sell, the cheaper your console can actually be, and that's why PlayStation 5 is, done pretty well and has actually made some money on their console for a lot longer than Xbox Series consoles. But there's got to be a point to where Xbox is like, okay, this is below the threshold that we see as being really, us. And we don't know what that number is, but if you could stay above 20 mil and you still got Xbox guys buying Xboxes, especially here in North America, I don't see why not. Like why they won't continue making the console, even though they focus on being a third-party publisher. I don't see why. Especially if they're making profits on the console.
Yeah, if you're not subsidizing the console, and I mean, there's a number, right, where it makes sense. And if you're selling something, if it's not as important, but you're still selling kind of a device for people who want Xbox hardware, who don't want to go to PC, and you're doing, what I'm saying? Like, if that's a number is 20 or whatever that case is, to me, it would have to be like, only 5 to 10 million people bought Xboxes in the next gen. which I don't see happening as long as that they put forth a really good product.
I'm just more concerned with the game pricing going up the way it is. It's really irritating because, I mean, we can talk about some of these ballooning budgets and stuff, but at the same time, we can also talk about their financial, that these companies still making money on these games, even it's, $70.
Oh yeah,
And so
100%.
it's irritating.
That's 100%. 110%. They're recording record profits, and they're like, we'll boost the price. And I don't think there's no gamer on the planet who would, well, maybe PlayStation gamers, but there's no gamer on the planet who sit there that I want to pay more to make sure that these companies are making these. I want another record profit. I want to see some more consoles sold. I know that PlayStation gamers do that a lot. Donte, you gotta, just cutting back to that console thing, you gotta it's volume, it's manufacturing, it's the R&D, it's the years of R&D.
Yep.
Then you've also got to think about
that's already happened, though, right? They've been doing that ever since the last year.
Yeah. But we're talking about,
you've also got to think that Microsoft, you're going to have to then develop games for it, right? Themselves as a publisher, they're going to have to develop games for that box. If you're sitting at 10 million and you're like, well, what worth is it to us? We're now down to 10 million Game Pass subs on console, so that's not our biggest pie. That big piece of the pie is on PC. And we're not selling that much on our Xbox consoles either. So it eventually becomes not worth it to them to develop software for their own console. You know what I mean? That's a thing as well. But we don't number, but there is a number at which Microsoft is going to look at it and go, this is just not worth it to us across the business. And we become a Sega, right? Which I hate to say it. And I know guys in the chat, you don't want to hear it, but there is a number. It exists.
No, I agree. I said the same thing about COD. Like putting COD on Game Pass versus selling it, there's a net number that they're looking at in terms of how many new subscribers to Game Pass versus lost sales for not having it available in Game Pass, right? So there's a number I think that they look at in all those particular scenarios. My question is just like I still feel like I heard Jess was talking about this earlier, and he was talking about we're probably going to see within this the showcase that's coming up, is that they will kind of give us new vision, right? Which is the focus will primarily be on them being this large publisher, and after that, consoles, right? So the secondary thing would be console sales. The bigger thing would be large publisher getting his games out everywhere.
Did you say the Red Wedding? Is that what you said?
Yeah, well,
that's what this June showcase is being called.
That's what it is. It's gonna basically be like, hey, something for the fans, but at the same time, let's try to start getting people. This is where we're going. Get ready for the direction that Xbox is going. And if that's what's happening, which we've been saying that we think that's happening anyway. Okay, there's still some type of plan for consoles, right? So if you're doing that, what makes sense to me is you're put your consoles at a point where you're not losing money on them, but you still got to sell enough of them. So you gotta make it compelling. You can't just basically like phone it in. And you talk about development,
but
but
they are.
We're saying the new one's supposed to be a PC type of box, right?
Yeah,
but you can play more things.
Look at the mentality around Gears, and I hate to go. We argued about this last week, but like, going back to it, look at the mentality. They're like fuck you, Xbox gamers. We're just doing a remaster, which you've already got, which really has almost everything. The water looks better in it. Enjoy that. Like, you already had 4K, you already had 60, you already had 120 in multiplayer, and this is not for you, Xbox gamers. And we're at it. We're gonna give it to PlayStation, and we're gonna give you absolutely nothing to sweeten the deal, man. Like, that's the mentality. You can see the mentality. And it's not. The mentality is not. We need to look after our console gamers. Now, I hope I hope that their mentality with the console, and knowing Jason, he's going to do his best work, right? And I hope their mentality is like, we want to build this ecosystem in the console and make sure it's all encompassing, easy to develop for, so we don't have to worry about it. This is a standalone sort of Xbox console PC sort of hybrid. We don't have to do too much around this console to give our gamers what they want, right? And if they do that, like, great. But at this point with Microsoft, I don't feel cared for. So I also, there's nothing that they would do at this point that's going to surprise me. They used to be the consumer friendly box, but to me they've even thrown that down the table.
Let's just see how many of the other three are giving away day one games into Game Pass for $20 a month.
Oh, no, only one does that. Yeah,
Xbox is the only one.
Yeah.
How many are getting Call of Duty into Game Pass when they, like you guys said yourself, they could have put it,
But-
as a paywall, $60, $70. Xbox is. To say they're not the consumer-friendly console anymore is, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to push back a little bit. It's a little disingenuous because they are doing things that are consumer-friendly. How many consoles are making
I
Series S?
got a rebuttal. All that can be had on Game Pass PC for cheaper.
And that's
Yeah,
fine.
but that's
an
options though, right?
But-
Because I
but
don't
my
want to
point-
play on
but-
PC.
But the point, I know, but the point is, they aren't really dedicating much effort to you console gamers anymore. They've kind of steered away from that.
I don't
Because
really feel like I'm missing something. Like I hear people say this, but like I don't feel like I've missed
You're
out on
not
something.
missing anything. You're not missing out on anything, but they are starting to cater to other platforms.
Of course,
Well,
that's
I-
how
Other
you
than
make
their
money.
Right, you got to get
Exactly.
those people to buy your software, right?
Exactly.
So, like, I
but
don't
at
care
the
if they
same
make
time- here's
what's
the
it?
problem. But here's the problem with that. Let me finish. Your console sales are dwindling, and you just up the price to the point where most people aren't going to buy your consoles. Most people are going to look at those prices and go, I get a 1 terabyte PS5 cheaper than that Series S.
For now.
Pro.
I'm just
Pro.
telling you, but
And that's fine. But
They're
l-
going to
let's
have
look at it
options,
this way.
though.
I'm
That's
just,
the thing.
but this is what I'm seeing, and this is what the average console consumer or gamer is looking at and saying, "Hey, well, if they aren't doing anything for me on the console side anymore, I'm not going to really jump to their console. I might as well buy a PlayStation 5 and play all their games there. Even Game Pass isn't there. Now we got to remember too, Game Pass
That
isn't
doesn't
for
hurt
everyone."
Microsoft, though, right? Yeah,
But
I hear you, and I
It
don't think you're
doesn't
wrong.
hurt Microsoft, and it doesn't necessarily hurt Xbox, but in the long run, it definitely hurts the console.
But
It
Yeah,
definitely
I-
does.
you got
I
to
mean,
look
if
at
you're
this.
only
though.
Xbox specific, I would agree. I'm just saying, like, it doesn't hurt Microsoft to do what you're saying. Like,
It-
they're
it-
not looking at it like we look at it anymore. Like, they're looking at it, they're beyond us now. They're trying to get all their coin wherever they can.
Because
They talk
I
about
even
Game
think,
Pass
bro,
everywhere.
look at it,
They
though.
want money everywhere.
You got to
Bro,
look at it
we've-
like this: what's gonna make more money? Somebody spending $500 on a console and not spending in it by me buying 1 or 2 games, maybe
Right.
dedicating to a full game.
I played COD or NBA 2K all year.
Yep.
That's it.
or can they
fans
make a
do,
Game Pass?
apparently.
Put something on Game Pass like Call of
Yeah.
Duty that's making $240 a year. If you have the Game Pass Ultimate subscription, or if you're playing it
But you
on
don't.
another console.
But you don't signal to the guys who someone on Discord said this, and it's a great analogy. You don't signal to the guys who brought you to the dance, right? Who supported
Yeah.
you, like
Yep.
picked you up from the house, put the flower on you, like your little dress, and like brought you all the way there, got you a champagne at the door, and then you don't just fuck off and like leave that dude by himself. Like they announced Indiana Jones as one more thing at a Keeley. Like that is just an out and out fuck you to console
Yeah,
gamers, and they need doing.
I've been around this community now since 2016 and doing podcasts and stuff here on YouTube with Xbox guys. And I know the one thing that I've been waiting for are the games. And finally, like the last few years, they've been really hitting strides. And especially this year, Xbox has a ton to look forward to. And you could argue, yeah, of course, and we still got it, even though it's going elsewhere, but it's going elsewhere. And that hits a lot
That's
of
it.
Xbox guys
That's the emotional
differently.
part to it right there.
And-
Because
and
like
you-
a minute ago, Riskit, you just said that you think that potentially the game Doom might be having an issue because there's too many games, right? So if it's not really like selling as much as they kind of anticipated, it's because there's too many cool games right now available between Game Pass and
Agreed.
just period for people to be like, hey, I got to divvy up my time, right? I don't have the ability to stop this and then start that, etc. Right? So if we're getting the games, is it the emotional aspect of the fact that like you don't feel like a first class citizen
But it
because they're not
hurts,
specifically talking to you about console sales?
But it could affect the console sales in a way where they will stop
It
providing
doesn't
that.
matter for consoles anymore.
platform for
Consoles
you.
have never been the metric. And you want to know why? Because
What are you going to do then when they stop making? Okay,
In 20
We can
years,
say that-
consoles aren't going to be a thing
Okay,
because
we can-
cloud's going to take over, and no company.
I don't think cloud's going to take over anytime soon.
Hold on.
Millions of dollars.
Definitely
I
not.
don't even think cloud is going to take over in 20 years, bro.
Guess what?
And the reason why is the infrastructure around the world is not nearly in place for that, even 20 years from now. And I talk to people who
They
know
said the
this
same
stuff.
thing about movies.
You can
years
talk to
ago, and
people.
look at where they're at now.
Movies are
TV
a different
shows,
breed. You need a lot less
music,
bandwidth. You need
books,
a lot less bandwidth to
art.
access movies and
But
music.
on top of that, just to add to that, is and me and Hargeet had this conversation like a while ago,
I was
like
going to
a
bring
long time
Hargeet
ago.
up. Yep.
Like, listen, like the hardware and the chips and everything is shrinking to a place where cloud is just not going to keep up. Like, you will have hardware in the TV, absolutely, where it will be able to run some of the game natively and cloud will assist. There will be a cloud component, but you're not going to get to a point where cloud's ever at that native experience. Like, I agree once, not in 20 years. That's not a thing. The reason
I don't know. You
There's
can.
a
Say, I don't know if we
reason
can say that's not a thing. I agree with infrastructure.
Let me
That's
ask you
harder
guys
to
this.
that's harder to build out. But we can't
There's a-
say where a technology definitely will not be within
Yeah.
decades, especially
Okay.
at the rate that
There's
technology.
a
continues
reason
to-
why Microsoft conceded Ubisoft Cloud for 15 years. Because in 15 years, they're building the infrastructure to massively push out cloud gaming and for it to be look at, like I said, every physical
But
media has gone
there's
digital.
too many regions
Why
that
would
cannot handle
games-
gaming,
Why
cloud
would
gaming,
video games
even
be the
here.
last bastion of physical media when every other entertainment industry has went digital?
Yeah, it's true.
Um,
let me throw
let me
this in
just-
there really quick. By the way, on the whole Doom
for it, man.
thing, because that's been mentioned a few times, and I agree that it's possibly an avalanche of games that's possibly causing an issue. But you all have to remember there were technical issues that I mentioned earlier in the show with Doom. Fans had issues with that, so they did not buy it, possibly because of that. Also, a lot of fans canceled their pre-orders for it because the disc had only 82, 83 megabytes on it. And they were like,
Megabytes,
yeah. And they were like, oh, this is just a damn, disc,
Gambling disc.
what you call it, a useless disc, right? So they got mad at them and canceled for that too. So that's possibly
I
all
see-
out because of that.
I see a lot less. I think there's more gamers today are being a lot more picky when it comes to buying games because of the price point. I think they're very selective right now, and rightfully so. We should be as a consumer right now. We shouldn't just run out and buy every AAA game just because hey, they say it's AAA. Like we've been fooled numerous times on the whole AAA thing, but I think it'll get even worse. You're going to see a lot less game sales with $80 price point. It's going to happen. And some of these companies are going to learn. They're going to learn the hard way because it's going to hit them in the wallet. But that said, going back to what we're talking about with cloud and everything in these consoles, because I don't personally care anymore. Like, for me personally, I'm just saying, Microsoft is already on track to be the biggest third-party publisher. I don't care that their games are everywhere. I'm not emotional about the console going away if it does, but I know a lot of people are. Let me just ask you guys, how would it feel if there was a PS7, but there was no new Xbox platform? It was cloud.
That's also devastating for the industry because then what you do is you release PlayStation, they've got free reign. You're talking about, we've already seen how anti-consumer that they've been this generation. They're going to step that up. And with the $80 games, they're going to push these prices up until they hit that point where they're like, all right, this is the point. They're not going to come back down, but they're like, all right, this is where it's hurting us, and we're going to stop here. So they'll continue to do all that stuff.
Crash maybe Risk. Maybe you need a good gaming crash to get things in order.
Yeah,
No, but
sometimes you need a reset.
But honestly,
Yeah,
how would that feel to
Yeah.
you guys if you just saw PlayStation 7, that generation after next, but there was no new Xbox platform?
So subjectively, that would suck.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. Dante.
No, go ahead, man.
I was just gonna say I wouldn't like that just because I love Xbox, but I am on PC now, so I'm still gonna get the games. So it doesn't affect me that way. I just don't like the idea they're not. I don't like the idea of there not being an Xbox for those who are Xbox mainstays. You know what I mean? And
Which
it's
is
gonna
me.
cause less competition.
I think I'm the only one here. Well, no, Donte as well. Donte does have
You're not
PC.
the only one. I've talked to a lot of console gamers that aren't just Xbox guys that have told me literally after all these pricing, like after the PS5 Pro launched, so many of them have already told me I'm being priced out of gaming. That's too expensive for me. And I'm like, that sucks. But that's where we're at. And it's going to keep going up. Consoles used to be that place where you can get that low entry fee experience, gaming experience, and like it's gone for people. And I think that sucks, honestly. And the less we have of that, it's gonna be horrible. I think
that's where America needs to. This is political, but this is where America needs to raise the minimum wage. We won't get into that.
Tell us about it, right? That should have happened decades ago.
Absolutely, man. Like, look at your minimum wage, and like every other country on the planet is just well exceeding.
It's really. I didn't even know that. Damn.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Like your tip economy, I think, is what is the things that politicians sort of use to say, like, oh, well, you know, there's a tip economy and that's what that's all about. But like realistically, you work, you should get paid for the work you do. But that's very political. I didn't want to get political.
How do you tip more if you're not being paid enough?
Right.
It depends what state you're in.
I got a tip for your ass. All right, look both ways before you cross the street. How about that?
But like that's you're reducing the pie because the tips aren't there and the pay's not there, and then you're in a race to the bottom. But that's a whole political conversation. I shouldn't have brought that up. I do apologize. I love my political style. Save it for Discord. Umbra will be back in there disagreeing about tariffs.
It's fine to bring up politics from time to time, especially when you're talking about the industry, because it affects all of every industry out there, including gaming. It's you're not going off the rails and talking about something that's just so far off of
away
the
from
subject
it.
matter.
Yeah.
So
well, if we can, that's the thing is if you're political, you've seen a downturn. You've still been the best economy on the planet, even through I can't think of the damn name of it. Even through downturns. However, your price, your inflation has just sort of killed the country, and you haven't had a minimum wage rise to meet the inflation, and so you're going to end up like I said, race to the bottom. You're going to end up with a poor class of a middle class, and what seems to be happening with that massive transfer of wealth during COVID, which was huge and was a thing, is that you're going to have a rich class with a smaller amount of people in it. So I think you need to bust that up somehow. That's regulation, and I'm against regulation. If you come to Australia, like I can't take a shit without being regulated. But like America, you run around the streets with AK-47s in both hands with a permit to carry. Like I think there needs to be a little bit more regulation on the American side, a little bit less on our side. I don't know if that's true with the AKs, but if it is, I'm doing it.
No, not AKs, but I like our guns. I like that. I'm all for this.
I know you guys love it.
When it comes to the Game Pass numbers, have you guys heard the numbers for PC?
They went up.
I thought it was something close to 50-50, right? Like they're
it is
the split between PC and Xbox. And
console. It's around it's close to 20 million on PC already.
Yeah,
which is pretty darn good.
Not bad.
And so when that number overtakes, you've got to start to have a bit of concerns for the console. When say that number gets to 50, 60, 70, and Microsoft starts looking, the next console comes out, they sell 20. And they're like, well, what is this console really doing for us? Do we really need this? We can build that extra 20, over here.
Yeah.
Depends on how they look at it.
I don't think, again, the whole idea of the console to begin with was for people who probably did not want to go through the whole process of getting a PC, right? They want it plug and play. So you still got to satisfy that market in some way of the person who wants plug and play. So, I mean, look, it could be that Microsoft one day says, yeah, we got 60 million on PC and only 20 million left on Xbox. If they're willing to cast aside 20 million, good for you. Because what's the revenue on that, right? You know what I'm saying? If you were just saying I'm willing to throw that away and not cater to them, that's a very brilliant business move. I just don't see it happening. So if you want to still satisfy the customer who wants plug and play, not everybody wants to go ahead and, like me, I'm not putting my PC in the living room, right? I have my PC in room for work and podcasting, and when I do VR stuff. When I'm in my living room, my Xbox runs all of my media. I want to keep that. If they need to solve that issue if they're going to say we're not making the console. So who knows where the technology is in the next 10 to 15 years, right? They may have something that's a smaller box that basically operates and gives me the same type of UI approach that I have for the Xbox to be able to still play their games, even if it's streaming or whatnot. But I don't see the situation of just pushing everyone to force all the console users to have to get a PC or go to PlayStation. I mean, it could happen. I just think that's a really weird business decision because that's tens of millions of people that you're just giving the free.
And I think that
Consoles are an
business
entry
decision,
point.
yeah,
It's
of
an
course.
entry point. That's all it is.
It's really Microsoft that we're talking about here. I don't necessarily think most of the people at Xbox were all for these changes. I think Microsoft has just come in and said, you know what, we're going to start cleaning stuff up, making more profits. We're going to do this way. And I mean, we just seen recently the Sony CFO, the new CFO, is talking like she might be putting more games out on other platforms. Who knows? MAUs are number one. Remember, it's all about the MAUs. So it's pretty crazy that we're seeing
We
this shift.
represent the MAU Guild. Sorry.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing a different shifting landscape when it comes to consoles, and it's crazy the amount that these consoles are costing now. It's really eye opening that when seeing that $700 Pro really just opened my eyes, and then now we have a $730 Series X. And I'm like, Jesus, the next console is going to be $800 plus. Gotta be.
Yeah, 1,000.
I thought that well before this point, but yeah, I was going to say I tend to kind of lean toward what Donte said. By the way, I think it wouldn't be smart business for them to just kick off millions of people from access to the consoles. That's why I said, yeah, it's very clear they're going to have a next gen. Right? They haven't yet transitioned everybody to PC or Game Pass or whatever else. I just don't think it makes business sense to just get rid of that. And that's why they're going to have the handheld, which might be much more affordable. And that's probably why they're still going that direction, not only to appeal to a market of people who are using Nintendo as a base of having mobility in your gaming, but it goes in line with Microsoft's whole business operation with having you being able to play where you want to play and affordability in some way. I don't know how affordable that handheld will be, seeing how they're doing a whole Asus tag team situation, but I think we could best all be prepared for next gen to be costly in general. That's the thing I would say. Although it is unfortunate, I agree with you, Fonz, that gaming used to be kind of a thing where it's like everybody can get in here, right? And
it's a luxury now, bro. It's a luxury
now. Absolutely. Yeah. And Microsoft's motto was, when we all play, we all win. Well, now it's going to have to change, right? So
now it's when we all pay, we
play, right? It's unfortunate, but it is. It's a luxury.
No
now.
pay, no play. That's it. That should be the new motto. No pay, no play.
Right.
I know a girl actually that used to have that. Anyway, moving on. Been a fantastic show, man. Shout out, thanks for coming through, Fonz, and jumping in and talking about tariffs and the future of the industry. But let people know where they can find you, what you're up to, how's your week looking, all that good stuff.
Oh yeah, they can find me on my channel, Fonz Gaming. I'll be doing my podcast tomorrow with Chani. We'll be doing that at 4 p.m. West Coast time, and that'll be should be a good one. We'll be talking about similar stuff here that you guys talked about today, of course. But it's nice to have a guy like Hargeet as a co-host, though, because he can get into some of those technical aspects where I can't, especially when it comes to cloud gaming and stuff. He's pretty smart with that kind of stuff. He knows the logistics and everything of that stuff, and it's really cool to hear what he has to say about that. I know a lot of people just pin him as, oh, he's just a PlayStation basher, which he is, 100%, but he hates PlayStation. And he doesn't ever hide it. Like, he doesn't make any kind of concession.
What are you talking about? He loves PlayStation.
But he's more a PlayStation hater than he is an Xbox lover. Put it that way.
He's a definite hater.
He hates and that's not just because of Xbox versus PlayStation, it's because it goes way back with him. It goes back to when PlayStation tried to ruin Nintendo and Sega.
Yeah,
And they did help ruin Sega. But anyways,
he earned his hate.
Yep.
Yeah, 100%, man. I was a Sega boy, and I wasn't happy that they got their neck stepped on. And I was hoping to see Xbox step on the neck of PlayStation.
Well,
they could have, but they didn't.
They also stepped on their own neck a bit. Sega really shot themselves in the foot.
Yeah, I mean, so was Xbox, 100%. Corkenstein!
Yeah, sure.
Thanks for coming through, man. I really appreciate you coming on the show. We're gonna have you back on, man. So thanks for coming through and giving us your takes. Let people know where they can find you, what you're up to, plans for the week. Salutations.
There you go.
Yeah, thanks again, man, for having me on the show. You guys are awesome. I really appreciate it. Good to see Fonz again. I haven't seen him since June of last year when we all got the Xbox.
Yeah, that was
flu.
so much fun. That was so much fun. Not the flu part.
Not
I
the
remember
flu part,
driving.
the Xbox era flu.
I had to drive 6 hours back home, and I was just so sick driving home. It was so
We
bad.
all were. It was fun. But I mean, it was still fun. We got to hang out, so it was good to see you. Donte, I'll see you this year, actually at the showcase.
Yep.
I can't wait. It sounds like that party's going to be awesome.
Yep.
Umbra, I talked to you, on Discord and everything like that. Riskit, thank you, first time. Definitely appreciate it. Your community here has been absolutely awesome. We've had some great conversation. For me, you can find me at the Corkenstein on Twitter, Blue Sky, Threads. I do have 2 channels, Game Pass Gumbo. We're kind of like in a hiatus a bit. We're trying to just get to where we can get all the hosts together due to family things and life and everything like that. But I got to edit down a video of a shrimp etouffee for South of Midnight, kind of like a little homage to that game.
Nice.
And we'll have that out there. And then Xbox Talks, we should be coming back soon. We are talking maybe with the developers of The Altar to get an AMA for the Xbox subreddit on Reddit. So that's something that's going to be coming up. We did just give away a Claire Obscure 33 custom edition Xbox Series X with controller. So that giveaway just ended, and we're looking at what we could do more for the community. So follow us there. Thanks, guys.
Game of the year, by the way.
Game of the year for sure. Yep. For sure. 100%. For me, and I'm not even, I don't think I'm even halfway through it. Yeah, but head down in the description. You guys will be able to find those links. I'll add them in after the show. Fumbra. I don't know why I'm calling you Fumbra, but Fumbra, another fan. Salutations to you, sir.
That's wild.
Let the people know where they can find you and what you do in the next week.
Yes, you call me Fumbra because I like to have fun. Anyway, no, I'm sorry. You drugged me into your debauchery. Yeah, man. Cork, thanks for jumping in such like last second like that, brother. You came in and you killed it. Appreciate you always. Fonz, glad to have and talk with you again. It's been a while. Listen, you should join both. Well, I was going to say both of you, but Cork, you're in there with us often. Donte, you're not in there with us often, but you should be. Absolutely, we would love to hear your thoughts more too on things.
In the Discord, yeah.
I'm in the Discord, ain't I? I'm in the
Discord. You are in the GCP. In the GCP.
Yeah, I'm in there.
Yeah, you're in there, but you just we have like daily talks, literally.
Oh, gotcha.
Would love
I need to
get
open
you
up
back
Discord
in
more.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
open up Discord
in
more.
there. If Fonz, if you haven't joined the GCP, that's Kay and Everborn's Discord. But jump in there sometime. We have all types of talks, like literally. So thank you too for coming through. And shout out, of course, to Donte and to you, Riskit, for coming, doing your thing and saying your things and saying things and doing things. Anyway, as far as me, doing a damn thing. As far as me, of course, Infinite Umbra Infinite. You'll find me either way on social media. The Fix, of course, Thursdays. I just put the link in the chat. If anyone hasn't subscribed yet, please do so. Thank you, everybody that came through in the chat today. That's at 8 o'clock Eastern for the Fix on Thursdays, by the way. Tuesday, Xbox Factor with myself, Boom, and Jamie Moran. And, of course, back here with the family on Fridays, an Infinite Podcast. And, yeah, so thank you all for being here. And of course, shout out to Lotus for all the donations tonight as far as the subscriptions.
Lotus always is awesome.
Lotus. Thank you, Lotus.
Shout out to Lotus. Good to have you back. Donte.
Hey, yo.
Where they can find you, what you're up to, what's your plans for the week and all that good stuff.
Yeah. So first and foremost, shout out to our guests. Cork, it's good talking to you, bro. I think it's the first time I actually got a chance to pod with you, man. So it was really cool going on. Fonz, as always, brother. It's always a good time to see you. Somehow I'm losing my voice, which is kind of crazy. And special shout out to the chat, because as always, man, you guys are the reason why we're able to do this. You guys are always cool and very cordial in the chat, having fun, talking games. I love to see a respectful chat that actually enjoys the hobby, not a bunch of people coming in and just trolling and talking crap. So we respect you guys for coming out and rocking with us each time. You can catch me on the socials, Donte J Moody, obviously, Xbox, I'm Spriggan113, and then I'll see you guys on the next one. I'm getting ready to drive out to California in the morning, but I'll be back before the next week, so that way we can pod again next Friday.
Oh, you coming to
Yeah,
Cali?
absolutely, man. And
Yeah.
I'm not sure exactly what's going on next Friday because this mobilization that I'm doing for
Quit moving
the
around.
company
Quit
has
mobilizing.
been pushed back. So I the internet's not even hooked up in the area that we're at. So I don't know exactly what's going to happen, but I'll keep everyone updated. Shout out to the chat. Guys are always amazing. As I said, you're the reason that we do what we do. So appreciate every single one of you. Special shout out to Lotus. Good to have you back. Hope your move to Mexico went well. And yeah, well, I guess we'll see you all guys next week. Shout out obviously to our guests as well. Cork, Fonz, you guys are amazing. And we'll see you all next week.
Peace.